Kickoff, ready to go.
How we doing? Check, check, 1, 2, 3, as they say in music and in radio. Check, check, 1, 2, 3. Who's out there? How's my microphone today? Everybody who's been kind of a little bitchy on the mic, I think we're sounding good. We found a new mode to play here, so hopefully that helps a bit. Tune in this other mic. Yeah. Trying to find the one, Clay, that doesn't have the humming. The humming, right? The humming, yes. All right, we're going to have a good day today because I'm out of here after today. I am heading to Florida to visit my mom and dad. And my mom and dad don't talk Raiders and they don't troll me online and they don't say I don't ask tough questions and they don't call me a homer. My mom and dad, Clay, treat me very nicely. Mom and dad treat me very nicely. Yeah. Home sweet home. Home sweet home. Home sweet home. You know, how would you like to be called a homer when you ask every tough question and you do the post-game show and you criticize the team? Take it out on me, as we like to say. Someone's got to make some T-shirts. You're going to make some money off this site, man. We're going to get to 10,000 subs in 20. One of the shirts I want someone to make, Big D, is blame me. Blame JT. It's my fault. I drop touchdowns. I miss blocks. I don't snap the ball well. So blame me. And I will take the blame because they pay me a lot of money, man, considering I've been doing this a while, to take the blame and to take the heat. And I always show up, win or lose. But yeah, I'm really upset about that loss. For the mini monologue, that was one of the worst football games ever played. Ever played. Is that tough enough? Is that hard enough? Or is there another level I can say? That was one of the worst football games ever produced in the history of football. Can I go lower than that? Can I go lower than that? I guess, Clay, they want me to go lower than that. Profanity? What would make you feel good? Profanity? Screaming? What would make you feel better? But man, that offense, Clay, might be the worst offense in Raider history. In the history of the Raiders, including Jeff George, Jamarcus Russell. Yeah, that might be the worst offense we've ever seen. And I'm surprised by it. I didn't think Chip Kelly and Ashton Genty and Geno Smith would be a part of a bad offense. I don't know many people who did. I know some people who doubted them. I don't know many people who predicted it would be this bad. Do you, Clay? I don't know anybody who predicted it would be this bad.
Never. No.
Yeah, no.
No, not at all. These were upgrades.
And my sons went to the game. My sons, both my sons, my blood went to the game and didn't see a point.
Well, just like you, they'll be making their first and last trip to Kansas City.
Yeah.
It's the JT the Brick Show.
You know, we're going to have a lot of positive energy. The guys that love to compete and play with passion are going to have a chance at the place.
Your Silver and Black home to sound off for over 25 years.
Man, I'm loving it, man. They're making my job tremendously easy to be out here with these young, talented players, man. I think we have a really good team. So I'm super excited. I'm already loving this fan base. So I think it's going to be a lot of fun.
And now, here's JT the Brick.
Out of the gate, JT, as we are live from the flagship of the Silver and Black, Raider Nation Radio on the Raiders mobile app. We are streaming live on YouTube, which I think you'd want to watch this monologue. And you could also see us on X, on Twitter, at JT the Brick. We got a live stream coming in here, and that's what I'm going to do. I'm going to take this headset off. I'm going to put the mic here. I'm probably going to go about 20, 25 minutes. We got Mark Anderson, Sam Munson. Your phone calls are very important today. And this is the must-listen monologue brought to you by Golden Entertainment. They own PTs. That's 70 taverns or more here. They fuel the monologue. 5 to 7, midnight to 2, the best happy hour in town. Go check out PTs. I'm sure you'll be happy, and we really appreciate everything they do for us. So we got a lot to get to today. We got a lot to go through. We got a lot to cover, and this is going to be one of the more unique radio shows that I've ever hosted. This will take 28 years of my tenureship to control myself in this monologue. This will take a lot, but thank God to my wife, who's much smarter than me and kind of walks me off the ledge. I've been talked off the ledge because Yesterday, I did the post-game show. We have a piece of this. First time, I think, in my almost 30 years with the team, I asked someone to record the post-game show because I think a lot of fans miss what I do. They don't know that I'm on after the game, live right after the game ends, like a minute after the game ends. And they lose track of that by Monday at noon Pacific, 3 Eastern when I come on. They don't realize I just hosted Raiders Roundtable with Lincoln Kennedy and Eric Allen. So they didn't hear how critical we were, the team in the building. So some people lose track of that. They just want to attack. And that's okay. As I told everybody watching earlier today, blame me. Someone should make $1 million with that T-shirt. Blame me. Blame whoever you want, because we live in a society now of blame, and there's a lot of people who deserve to be blamed in sports when things go this badly. And man, this is going really bad. This is going worse than anybody expected. Anybody involved on any level, even the Raider fans who claim they're Raider fans and attack their team all the time, you know who they are. They didn't even think it would be this bad. How could you? We went through a couple of bad cycles. The Josh McDaniels era didn't go well. The 10 losses in a row for Antonio Pierce. And all those coaches wanted to win, and they gave their best effort. They did. It just didn't work out. And now we bring in Pete Carroll, who is a legendary coach, who's coached at the highest level from college to pro. As I said before he came here, when we were figuring out who it was going to be, Pete Carroll's a made man. His legacy is set. No matter what happens here, and hopefully it gets turned around, Pete Carroll's good. Okay, just because a couple of fans who paint their face are upset at him, it's not going to end Pete Carroll's life. He'll be fine. But there's a lot of self-criticism that needs to go on now. There's a lot of criticism about the way the team is playing. So the way I take the high road is I try to run a show differently than some screaming podcasters who have nothing to lose other than their podcast. They have nothing to lose, so you can get angry, you can get loud, you can go into the Raiders building, act like a clown, you can do things. You can be a funny guy, or you can be a real angry guy. I could be a real angry guy from time to time on this platform. But a lot of people now are afraid. They're all over the place. The ship has definitely hit an iceberg in regards to the way this particular group, right? We talk group like hockey. When Bruce Cassidy says, I like my group, right? It's about the guys in the locker room mostly. Well, this group has failed. This group has failed from the top down in regards to the coaching and the players. I'll throw myself in the hat. Everybody has failed in regards to what this product looks like and what the narrative was of the product. The product should never be this bad. At any point in time, even if you don't have a good team. And that's one of the big things I wanted to get into in the monologue. Even if you have a bad team, which the Raiders now are a bad team, you cannot play that badly. So, as I have no notes, but everything's fresh on my mind, I'll say this again. That was one of the worst football games ever played by this organization or any team in the history of the NFL. It was arguably one of the top 10 worst football games ever played by any football team that ever took the field in the history of the NFL and the AFL. It is hard to play this badly on a stat sheet, and I'm talking about the box score. It is very hard to play that badly. Just by showing up in any football game, you get a field goal or two. You get a field goal or two. You turn the ball over, you got a short field. There's some point somewhere. To get shut out in the NFL in 2025 is hard to do. And then to really never have a chance of scoring, that's even more difficult. But to only run 30 plays in a football game is one of the worst stats that anyone could have and be associated with. And that's probably the worst offensive performance by any team in the last 25 to 30 years in the NFL, period. So you can go back to Jamarcus Russell, Jeff George. If you want to stay in the Raiders bubble, I don't stay in the Raiders bubble. I'm a sports talk host. I talk about Ohtani. I talk about the Rams. I talk about the Patriots. I talk about everything. But from a Raider perspective, that was the worst offensive performance I have ever witnessed, ever. Dating back to the birth of this franchise in 1960 and the takeover of Al Davis in 1963, the 15 or 16 coaches that I've seen along the way, and I love this guy a lot because he's a legend and he's a really good guy, and we're going to stay with that topic. But this game, you could not possibly be this bad if you tried. If you tried to be this bad, which professional sports teams at times try to do. Not this organization. There are teams, and I don't do tanking. I don't do tanking. Let's lose on purpose. There are teams that will take their talent off the field, and not quit. They'll take their best talent off the field. They'll put in their secondary or weaker talent in an effort to lose the game, but be competitive. We had our best players out there that we had available. Some are down, some are hurt, and they were not competitive at all. That is alarming. That is alarming because it takes us to a new look at the entire roster. The entire roster, the players who aren't playing, the draft picks who aren't playing, everybody who is playing that's not playing to their ability, those who could be making business decisions, those who potentially, and I don't have anybody now at the top of my head, could be playing through an injury in the future. You have to evaluate now everything completely different. And that's why I couldn't wait to get in here after I just left the building to talk about that topic, to talk about not tanking, not throwing away the season. We're going to try to beat Jacksonville and have a great bye week and come out and win that game. Raiders want to win every game. The season is still young, but the playoff ship has sailed away. Come sail away, it's gone. Okay, because they're playing so badly, you can't have a dream of turning it around when you're this bad. If you were playing okay and losing, the Giants gave up 33 points in the fourth quarter. 33 points in the fourth quarter and still had the lead and we're going to win the game. Giants aren't very good, but they're playing so much better than the Raiders, you can't even describe the two different teams. Can't even describe them. The Tennessee Titans, we just beat them. We played worse than the Tennessee Titans played at Allegiant Stadium or any game this year. We played the worst football game of the entire season in the NFL of every team combined in all the games they played so far. That's hard to do. That's really difficult to do. Especially when you got good players like you got A.J. Cole, Daniel Carlson, Max Crosby, Michael Mayer, Geno Smith, who's not playing well but's been good. You got Ashton Genty, a star. You got Malcolm Kuntz, Tyree Wilson taken 7th overall, Devin White, right? Jeremy Chin, who played in the NFC Championship. I mean, I'm naming some good players, not great players, and I apologize. I'm naming players who will not be back, some of them, but that's for a different show. But with all of that happening, how could this team be playing so badly? How is it possible to put out a game plan on offense? Because the defense didn't play well. They're playing a soft zone. Mahomes picked them apart. Mahomes has got 5 wide. At one point, they went 4 wide with Kelsey. There was no stopping that team. But 31 points, I think they could have scored 60 points if they left Mahomes in the game and they went for it more and they really wanted to step on the throat of the Raiders. They would have easily put up 50 in that game. They called off the dogs. They definitely called off the dogs. I had my 2 sons there as Raider fans. They didn't get a point. They didn't see a point. My 2 sons were at that game. They traveled to Kansas City, my sons, my blood, to go see that game. They didn't see a point. So don't tell me that game plan was good or it was sound. It was not. But there's a reason behind that, and we're trying to figure it out with a level of respect. Is it the players who are down? Let me go first on that. Without Colton Miller, this offensive line is pretty much nothing. Pretty much nothing, and I like some of the players on that offensive line. You want to say I'm calling them out? No, I'm just being obvious. Look at the PFF grades. Look at this offensive line. They're not good. I'm not saying they're not any good. They're not good. Good is a ranking in the top 15. Great is a ranking in the top 5. We have none of that. So this offensive line will completely be dismantled at some point and put back together again with some of the players who are still there. I don't know who they are. Some of the rookies that are there and some free agents. They're going to fix that. Okay? That offensive line is going to be completely repaired, fixed, putty, whatever you need, new drywall, whatever. That thing is under construction right now. Secondly, without Brock Bowers, this team is freaking lost. lost without Brock Bowers. It's almost like everybody is looking at the sideline at Brock, like, save us, because I guess we can't run a 6-yard out or a 9-yard curl without Brock being on the field and other people looking at him. I think that comes from the coaches and the players. They just, without Brock, they are lost. They are lost at sea. They have no map. They have no compass. Really, it's bad. Thirdly, Geno Smith. I listened to Clay on the morning show today and the guys. Everybody played sound. His leadership's great. Put it on me. Put it on me. We're done with that now. It's over with that. There's no more talk about, hey, it's on me. I'm playing. No, we know that now. There's no need to talk anymore. I like Geno. And anything I'd say here, I'd say to his face. I'm in the building 3 days a week. I think the world of Geno. As a leader and a person, he is playing so bad right now, personally, he's playing the worst football I've ever seen him play, and I'm shocked by it because I think he's a pretty good player. And he was a very good player. And he was a very good player, and he still could be that same player. But now in this small sample size of 7 games, he could not be playing any worse. And I think he'll take all the blame for that. I think he'll take all the blame for that because that's who Geno is. Geno will take the blame for that. But for whatever reason, the coaches and Geno are not on the same page. They have no intention on throwing the ball. None. No intention on throwing the ball at all. None. They won't throw it from me to you. They won't throw it 5 yards. They just won't do it. Because, hey, why? Well, that's what we're trying to do on the talk show. Why is that not happening? I think it's because the offensive line isn't good. Geno doesn't have a lot of time. Geno's lost all of his confidence, which he won't admit, but all of it's gone. And the receivers are getting no separation because we now have Brock Bowers and Jacoby Myers, and that actually hurts, and we don't have Colton Miller. But those aren't excuses because as I was talking to people all weekend, every team in this league can play with their backups and run plays. We, right now in the Raider Nation, can't put our starters out on offense and run any semblance of an offense. It's gone. So I got good news for you. I really do, and I believe this. And if you want to take a shot at me, go ahead. But I think what needs to happen now is whatever the offense was over the bye week, because Chip Kelly has a really good track record in a couple of aspects. National championship last year with 2 running backs over 1,000 yards. You know, he had good players, right? Chip had really good players, those wide receivers and running backs, and he ran this heavy run to set up the pass, and it worked. And then he revolutionized Oregon's offense to go 4 wide in that sprint offense. That's on his resume. He did that. So as I was explaining to a former Raider player today, Chip probably has 70 to 80 different playbook notebooks. 70 to 80. It might be 30 to 40, but you'll get my point. The one for this team with the Raiders in 225, throw it out. Just get rid of it. And the good news is Chip has more plays to call that have worked in the past. Now, if he can't call the plays because the players aren't any good, we're all going to find that out, man. It all comes out in the wash. It does. It all comes out in the wash when players leave or coaches leave. They start chirping. We know about it. It's not happening. This team is pretty tight. The coach is here now. I'm sure everyone's looking around. What the hell are we going to do? But Chip has the ability to look at everything he has and say, this, all of it doesn't work at all. Get rid of all of it. Coach Carroll, I report to you, what would you like me to run? And if Coach Carroll says, look, this is getting away from us really badly, just run the ball. Just run it and punt. Run it and punt and throw a little bit. Get Brock going when he comes back, and we'll see what happens. Then Chip, I think, clearly could take those notes from the head coach and do that. He's Chip Kelly. You might not like him now. You didn't like McDaniels. You didn't like Norv Turner's son. You didn't like Norv. You don't like anybody when they're not winning. We get it. But they have the ability to kind of fix it if they can. If they can fix it. The only reason why they couldn't fix it, the only reason why they can't fix it, if that's the answer, is because the players aren't good enough. And oh boy, what are we going to do about that? We ain't doing nothing now. What's today's date? October 20th? We ain't doing nothing now. We got the rest of the players on the team in the practice squad. We ain't getting, no one's coming into that room, as I say. No one's walking into that room. Fred Biletnikoff and Art Shell aren't walking in there in a hot tub time machine to fix this. So we got problems with the personnel. So what I think is going to happen here is that the team really has to absorb this loss and figure out how they're going to make it competitive, because everything around the organization is very competitive. It is. That's not a joke. When you see billboards that say compete and you laugh at them, no, that's what they're doing in there. They're competing every day. But what I think's happening is they're seeing, as I told Clay, the perfect storm. This in sports on the downsides. I remember I grew up in New York. New York's a much more bigger hotbed of sports radio than Vegas. Give me a break. Okay. And what happens in New York is sky falls, man, and the sky falls hard over Manhattan and over Five Boroughs. And man, then it gets chippy, it gets negative, and then you send the press into the locker room, not the radio guys like me, the bloviators. You're actually sending the media into the locker room, and they're out there just for clicks. Well, we're at the point now that that's what's happening around here. Radio, media, national media. I mean, I watched the NFL live this morning, and Damian Woody and Cam Newton were laughing at the Raiders, laughing about how Mahomes was so great. And both of them said, but they were playing the Raiders. So they're taking their shots. And then you have other people who just don't even look at the Raiders now. So there's a lot of doubt and negativity in the room. All right. I'm pretty doubtful right now, and I'm pretty negative. But I know a lot of the people who are involved. A lot of the people there respect me. I respect them. There's a level of decorum here that we have. And it's not difficult to follow the decorum that we have, but to have really good, educated conversations about what needs to be fixed. And, you know, the trade deadline is coming up here really quickly. I was talking about that today. I don't think the Raiders have a lot of leverage now in the trade deadline. Like, if you thought you were going to get a third-round pick for Jacoby Myers, and now the market's a fifth-rounder, do you do the deal still? I don't know. I'm not in the room with the money and the cap and all that, but I think everything's on the table. I don't agree with trading Max under any circumstance, because if the team's going to get good, they're going to need a couple of really good players. They're going to have to keep their really good players like Max and Brock Bowers and A.J. Cole and a core group of guys, and then get fortunate in the draft and free agency. They got a lot of money to spend. But I forget who I bookmarked on Twitter. But I mean, really, when you look at this team now, when it comes to the positions they need full upgrades in every position group. We need new corners, and we need new receivers. We need a new offensive line. I mean, there's a lot of holes in this team now that a lot of people didn't suspect would be that big. I knew that Caillou would struggle. I was the first to say that because he played with my son in high school at Bishop Gorman. I watched Caillou. I love the kid. He went to Stanford to get an education. He is a great kid. On a scale of 1 to 10, he's at 90. But this is the NFL. He's going to struggle. We told you that at camp he was going to struggle. But did I think he struggled this much? No. We knew from the beginning of camp that Jackson Powers Johnson was going to have to compete for some reason. Either something they saw that they didn't like, and they were going to take him out from center to guard. And now we're in this soap opera about fans want him back at center or guard. He gets pulled from the game. There's a lot going on there. We're not in the building. We don't see everything. But I like Jackson Powers Johnson. I think he's a classic Raider. And I think he's developing at this time. But this comes down to Geno Smith. It really does. A gentleman, a leader, a great, great teammate, no debate. And Geno just hasn't shown up this year. Something's wrong with Geno. People have been asking me on texting, is he hurt? Is he playing hurt? I don't know. I just remember him running twice this year recently. One time he almost blew out his knee and no one was around him trying to get down. And then yesterday in a critical spot of the game, he took off to run, which looked like a fairly easy first down. And he just crated on his own and went down. I did not believe that Geno was this immobile. I thought that Geno was going to be really, really aggressively running the ball when he had to with his life on the line. I apologize. I got that wrong. Either he can't do it or he's being told not to do it. I don't know what the answer is. I don't think anybody does. But Geno's play brings him now to the opinion, do you bench him or not? Well, that's a fair question. Gardner Minshew was $15 million. Geno's 40. And Geno's had a better career than Gardner Minshew, not even close. So if you let Geno come out of the bye week and play Jacksonville, and he has a come to God moment and plays well, and you're 2 games under 500 with a long season ahead of you, maybe Geno can get going again. But I'm not going to go on the flagship radio station and say bench Geno Smith when Pete Carroll brought him here. I mean, I'm not stupid. I'm not the sharpest guy on the radio, but I'm not dumb. Now, if you want to bench Geno, would I have a problem with that? Absolutely not. How could anybody have a problem with benching Geno? How could anybody on God's green earth have a problem benching Geno Smith? Just like I wouldn't have a problem in game 1 of the World Series if Blake Snell gave up 6 runs and Dave Roberts took him out of the game. Be like, hey, man, you just pitched one of the greatest games ever a week ago, and now you can't get out of the first inning. Give me the ball. It happens. But Geno has had a long time to figure this out. And another person told me today, Geno at training camp was throwing bombs. Geno at training camp, of course, it was a bad day or two, but go back to Sean Reed, Vic Tafer, who are gone, Vinny Bonsignore. Go to all the really solid insiders. How many days did they say, man, Geno looked good today? And everybody, Geno walked by all of us. Hey, man, what's happening? We're like, man, Geno looks good. Geno looks like he's forgotten how to play football in the last couple of weeks. I can't believe it. I'm in shock. But I don't make it personal. I'm critical because he's playing so poorly, but I'm not like, fire him, you're a bum, signs in the stands, all that. I want the guy to do well. Why wouldn't you? He's part of the team. We're a team here. The fan base is a team, and the team is playing very poorly. But that exhibition of football, I don't care who the coach is, because I'm a Pete Carroll fan, just like I'm a fan of Jimmy Johnson and Tom Flores. Not a big Tony Dungy guy. I'm close with Coach Gruden over the years. Any coach has had a bad game. They've all had multiple bad games, believe me. That was one for the ages. That was one for the all-time dumpster fire in the history of the NFL for an offense. For an offense. But they're a team. They're on the same team. Everybody's on the same team. But for that offense to go out there and play that badly and get 3 first downs in a game where another team has 30, to run a total of 30 plays as the other team runs 30 first downs, and not to throw for 100 yards, not to run the ball. Literally, everything was a dumpster fire yesterday at Arrowhead Stadium in Kansas City. That's unacceptable for any football team on any level. It's hard to get shut out in football, Pop Warner, college or pros. It's hard not in this league where everybody gets to the 40-yard line and gets a free field goal. These guys are all kicking 60-yarders blindfolded. To not get a point, unacceptable. And how they get out of this, I don't know. But I was fairly critical in the monologue, about as hard as I go. I love everybody involved. I'm not a guy looking to get people's jobs on the line, even though some fans want mine on the line. We're at that point now where it's blame Vinny, blame JT. The question wasn't my anger question with the pitchfork. We get it. We've been down that road before. I got the battle scars to prove it. We're good. No one wants this team to win more than me here on the radio for obvious reasons. And right now, the team is not playing competitive football. And I am really surprised by that. I thought at a minimum, they'd be an average team, 2 games under 500, maybe a game over 500 because you can't be 500 anymore. We play 17 games. I thought this was a 7, 8, or 9 win team. At its worst, I thought it was a 7, 8, 9 win team. What I saw yesterday really confuses me. I don't know what to say about it other than rip it up. Rip it up. I'm not saying don't look at the tape. Look at the tape. But rip it up and start over again. You don't have to sell off every player. You don't have to get rid of anybody. You don't have to fire the head coach. He's Pete freaking Carroll, okay? It's been 7 games. Put your head on. Screw your head on right. But there should be a lot of changes in personnel in regards to the players who play on this team on the offensive side. because that effort yesterday and what we saw on the field was the worst offensive performance, arguably, in Oakland, LA, and Las Vegas Raiders history. Vince in Sacramento. Start us off, Vince. Go ahead.
Hello.
Yes, sir.
Hey, so the Raiders cannot feel inferior to the Chiefs just because Patrick Mahomes is the cover boy of Madden. They got to remember, John Madden's the creator.
Goodbye. You just sound so terrible. I can't even give you a chance. That was going so badly out of the gate. I did a service to our audience. Every once in a while, Clay, I'll get a listener will say, you're rude to callers and you cut them off. Oh, really? Really? The guy who's taken more calls than anyone in the history of radio, let alone Raiders. Everyone's not perfect. If you're not good, if you're not prepared, if you're not entertaining, if you're not factual, I will hang up on your ass every day I have a radio show. If you're great, you can have a famous name and people will buy you chicken wings and you can come to Chickies and Pete's and get a shirt from me and Clay. But in the meantime, sound off like you got a pair. I want a better one than that, Clay. So let me try one more. Jorge in San Jose, Raider Nation, go ahead.
I'm sick of watching the team get punked on by the Chiefs. Like every time that, they just unfair that we make basically exploited.
Well, they're better, Jorge. They're better. I know you're sick of it. We're all sick of it. We're trying to figure out how to fix it. What do you want to do? You want to say you're sick of it? We're all sick of it. How do you want to fix it?
I'm sick that we're trying to trick some of these other defenses. We're trying to just do something that we're not. If we can just, I've been saying this for weeks and weeks, just run the ball with Joji. And how do you not find an escape route to either Michael Mayer or Brock Howard? Like that's all you have to do. I'm sick of seeing all these gadget tricks to Dante Thornton. Dante Thornton's just dropping balls. I get he's developing.
I'm trying to do a youth movement. These guys aren't even playing. Thornton and Besh, they're not even playing. We're not even playing J.J. Pegues. We're not even playing two offensive linemen. We're not playing Tonka Hemingway. What do you mean he's trying this youth movement? He's just trying to get guys who are healthy to get out on the field and go play. He's not trying a youth movement here. Dante Thornton, this is another important point, Clay, and I want to get your opinion on it quickly. Dante Thornton was drafted in the 4th round.
Right.
Jack Besh was drafted in the 2nd round. Mm-hmm. Do you know how many 2nd and 4th round receivers do not need to be developed? They come out of the league. They come into the league because they played in high school and college at LSU or they played at Alabama. They come into the league and they know how to run routes and catch the football.
They don't need development.
They don't need, no, they're going to be developed because they're rookies. They're going to learn how to study. They're going to learn how to go to film study. They're going to know how to treat their body in the weight room because they have no idea how to do that in the NFL. But it's like, what do we need Dante Thornton to do? We need him to run go routes and run behind someone because he's faster than them and then hopefully find the ball and catch it. Or like we did when I called the touchdown in the preseason in Phoenix, line him out wide and throw him a fade route like Plaxico Burress, where it's one-on-one, and he's tall and he goes, gets it. It's so hard to figure out about Dante Thornton Jr. What is so difficult to figure out where to line him up? You line him up wide, you have him run go routes, or you have him run stop and come back to the ball, or stop and goes. Really? Like you got to what? Send him away from Vegas and send him to a developing wide receiver camp? Put these guys on the field, let them play, put pressure on them to play well. They're grown-ass men and they're getting an NFL salary. And all of them, pretty much all of them are great guys. And they're painfully upset that they're losing. That's the monologue as we open it up. Mark Anderson will join us from the AP coming up next as we're brought to you by Modelo. Modelo, proud partner of the show with the fighting spirit. I think that monologue went okay. I saw the barbed wire fence. I saw the cliff. Pulled over unlike Thelma and Louise. I want the team to win, man. Do I still believe in Geno? I have a lot more doubt with Geno than I ever had. But yeah, I believe in him because I think he's a good player and he'll come out of it, but we're waiting too long. All right, let's see who texted me and said, whoa. All right. How was that, everybody? Was that fair enough? Was that too mean? Was it too homerism? Was it too soft? Too many people think I'm soft. I don't go hard enough.
Okay, thanks.
You know how disrespectful it is to say to another guy and who does what we do here, all our guys, that we don't do enough. We don't ask enough tough questions. We've asked every effing question you could ask to the coach, to the coordinators. They've answered and been asked every question. No one forgot a question to ask. Some people just think the question should be, hey, are you going to fire someone? And normally journalists don't ask that question. They'll kind of go around it. Yeah, we'll try Mark in a minute or two. Yeah.
It's Sean Ball, general manager, and Nick Toyota. They're thinking about.
No, we don't have the post-game show streamed. Maybe the Raiders will do that down the road. The post-game show, it's just Lincoln and I in a radio booth, and I don't think you have to see us to hear us. You know, it's not one of those things, but we'll look into that. I'd have no problem playing AOC. No problem. No problem playing AOC. Why would I? If Gino was playing average to above average, no shot. This is Gino's team, but he's playing poorly now.
Look,
Yeah. Yeah. Back then, we used to have a hook. We used to have a hook on getting rooms in Vegas now. I still got some hooks, but it's not like it used to be.
I think it was Pharrell that may have hurt that one.
Is Mark on hold?
That would call her.
Okay. So when he says LA Raiders says we have no quarterback in the building, none. That's disrespectful to Geno Smith. Geno Smith's a quarterback who's not playing well. So I don't know what you think to say that Geno is a non-quarterback. That's just a disrespectful, just gutless troll comment online. Geno can play. He's not playing well. Now, if you want to trade him, if you want to cut him at the end of the year, I have no problem with you leaving that. But to say we don't have a quarterback at all, it's definitely disrespectful. The chat's going so fast, man. I can't keep up with it. We got 1,000 people in here right now.
What's that? Parlays, we're gonna be capped out. On all major sports.
I am gone the rest of the week. I'm going to see my mom and dad. I'm going to see my parents. As you can imagine, it's having parents who are still with us at 87 and 85. And I only see them a handful of times. I'm going to spend my bye week seeing my folks. My wife and sons are here holding down the fort, which is a fort. And we'll do that.
Monday nights on Raider Nation Radio 920 AM.
JT the Brick Show.
The Brick Show, brought to you by PT's, the best happy hour in town, 5 to 7 p.m. and midnight to 2 a.m.
Got Geno's.
Talking not gonna get it done. Talking ain't gonna get it done. It's gonna be on Sunday or whenever we play. Go out there with bad intentions and get it done. It ain't gonna be about what we say. You can't motivate. You know what I mean? These guys, everybody in the locker room has got to look within himself, and then as a unit, we got to come together and continue to come together. Tough losses like this should be a gut check, and it should make you lock in more with your teammates. And so we got to lock in more with our teammates, and we got to play better.
Yeah, I like that from Gino, but again, Gino says there's no more talk. I agree. We are in the talk business. We are sports radio. We need to hear people talk. I need to talk. We need to hear from you. So I think that's a good idea from Gino. I'm not saying that Gino shouldn't talk to the media in his mandatories, but I think the talking needs to stop from everybody. Everybody who's in a position on that offense doesn't need to say a word other than what they're required to do when they get called to the podium or they have a reporter in front of them. But there's no more this, that. No, it's over. It's over. The talking is done. Everything that's been said hasn't worked out. So we don't need to hear anything new other than from the coach, the offense and defensive coordinator, and some of the people who are high up in the organization. We don't need the players to say, we've been getting boat raced every game on the road, and now we got to have this moment where we all talk it out. It's long gone. Mark Anderson joins us from the AP, the esteemed journalist. Well, Mark, that was really difficult. As I said, I think that's one of the worst offensive games in the history of the league.
Yeah, and that's not an understatement. It was. The numbers bear that out. You can go to any kind of numbers you want, and they were all just horrible. I mean, you look at 30 first downs for the Chiefs, 30 plays for the Raiders. I mean, that kind of sums it up right there. So, and I agree with everything you just said. I mean, obviously players and coaches are still going to talk to the media, but that's, it's just, you can't talk about what you plan to do.
Yeah.
You just got to go ahead and do it.
Yeah, I think you nailed that right there. You can't talk about what you want to do now. I mean, Max can, because Max has a way with his podcast and his social media. I think Max can tell you, look, man, this is what we're going to do. Okay, and do that. But everybody else we don't need to hear from. We don't, because it's been so bad on offense. And I'm just disappointed because Gino, I keep saying this and I'm getting a little heat for it, but I think it's accurate. Gino was brought in here for all the right reasons. He's a very good player. He's in the top 10 in a lot of statistical categories, not the top 20, top 30 in the top 10 before he came here. So I think that was a conscious, solid decision from Tom Brady, Pete Carroll, obviously John Spytek and everybody to bring him in. Now that he's here, it's not working at all. It's not even working a little bit. And I think this becomes a situation where the brain trust has got to figure out how much longer he's going to play.
I think the one thing they're going to wait on, and Pete Carroll kind of both frustrated and optimistic at the same time today, if that makes sense, about the injuries to Brock Bowers especially, but also for Jacoby Myers. I think he feels like this is a different offense with Bowers in it, and I think he's probably right.
It is.
So I think he felt optimistic after the break when they played Jacksonville. That both those players be back in the lineup, and the Max will be back in the lineup. So I think he wants to see Gino with Brock Bowers again, and before he makes any kind of changes. I think that's probably right. Because we saw in the one game that Brock Bowers was healthy, they were effective, more than effective. They won at New England, which as time goes on looks more and more impressive or surprising, whatever adjective you want to use. But yeah, I think that's what he wants to see. And if Gino continues to struggle after Brock's in the lineup, then you have to make a decision from there. And they're probably, then I think they would make a switch. So
yeah.
But yeah, I think, and also as we talked about before, there's a relationship there, and Pete's going to delay that decision as long as he can, out of his respect and admiration for Gino.
Yeah, I agree. Mark Anderson's our guest. When you don't have Brock in, but you have Michael Mayer, you don't have Jacoby Myers, but you have Trey Tucker and Dante Thornton and Jack Bech. I don't know why it's so difficult to run a play. I'm just talking about 3 wide. One guy does a 3-yard crossing route. The other guy does a 6-yard crossing route. The other guy does a 5-yard button hook and just get the ball out and hit someone open. I mean, that is not even feasible now. It isn't even feasible to run a receiver below the 10-yard route and have him be open and catch the ball. No one saw that coming. Did you?
No, and I thought I tell you, even more surprising to me is they really haven't committed to the run game like I thought they would. Uh, they've had flashes here. Genti had 23 carries against Tennessee. But he had what was it, 4 carries, whatever it was in the first quarter against the Chiefs. So I mean, it's late in the game when the score's out of hand. It makes sense. Why beat them up, and that you're not going to run your way back to victory anyway.
Mhm.
But early in the game, when there's still some question about the outcome, I was real surprised they didn't give it to him more. And it's not the first time they've done that.
Yeah, it's just really concerning that nothing's working right. The bye week obviously comes at a good time. If it would have came 2 weeks earlier, maybe they would have turned it around faster. I don't know. But I thought the Raiders would be 3-4 at this time. When the schedule came out, they're one game behind what I thought. 2-5 is really bad because 2-5, everybody's running away from you. But I thought 3-4 coming out of the bye, beating Jacksonville. Sorry, I thought they beat Jacksonville would be 4-4. Be pretty good. I wasn't going they're going to be 4-3 or 5-2. And I had a lot of fans who thought they were going to be 5-2 or 4-3. So I was kind of in this boat. But where I was wrong is I didn't think they'd play in games where they were uncompetitive. And the starting quarterback, 2 of them backups, Marcus Mariota, Daniel Jones, who's now a starter, and Patrick Mahomes all had baseball caps on in the fourth quarter. The starting quarterbacks were out of the game with clipboards and tablets and baseball hats on against the team here. I didn't expect that to happen, Mark.
No, and you're completely right. You can talk about all the injuries you want, but you have to at least be competitive. It's the NFL. You're still putting NFL players out on the field. And it was pretty telling yesterday, not only what you just talked about, the Chiefs went into victory formation before the 2-minute warning, where the Raiders had all 3 timeouts. That to me was almost startling. And it spoke to how one-sided that game was. And it felt like the Chiefs almost felt sorry for the Raiders. They punted from the Raiders 39 in the third quarter, I think it was.
Yeah.
You would never expect the Chiefs to do stuff like that against one of their biggest rivals, probably their biggest rival. And so it was just amazing. And I think Andy Reid's like, well, we've already embarrassed them enough. We can't keep doing this.
Yeah, I think they definitely called off the dogs, as we say in sports. Mark, anything else you just want to give us on the way out? Because I'll be gone for the bye week, and we'll have you back on after the Jacksonville game that you think is imperative that needs to happen from a personnel perspective, coaching. Is there anything you see coming that you're looking at? Because I really respect your opinion.
I'm curious if they make any changes in the offensive line. I just don't think the staff sold on JPJ. It just seems like they haven't been since they got here. I'm all the indications are that I think I can see them going back out Kappa. I'm not sure Kappa's the answer. I don't think they really have any answers right now. They drafted those 2 linemen in the 3rd round, and they don't seem to think either one of them are ready. So I think they're kind of stuck with where they are on the offensive line, but I still think they're going to try and figure something out to tinker with. Another thing, I want to see some more creativity second half of the season offensively. I just don't think we've seen enough of that.
Thank you, Mark. Always a pleasure. I'll see you soon. Enjoy the week.
You do the same. Thanks, JT.
Mark Anderson, an esteemed journalist from the AP, covers the Raiders. And, I have him on like a lot of people I have on because they're measured and they're calm. And I host a lot of different podcasts and people screaming and yelling and trying to be comedians and make fun of coaches and their families. That's not what we do here. We don't. And if you want to find that, go find it. If you want to listen to our conversation, we're honest. I think we're always honest, but it doesn't work for everybody. There are some people that really want to get aggressively, super personally negative about the men and women behind this team. It will not happen here. It's never happened. It's not going to happen now. I'm amazed at how many people think they want to happen now. Like they want me to start something new. It's not going to happen. Ryan Hogue, great to hear from him, former Raider. You hear him on with Q on the pre-game. He does a great job. Ryan, you played in this league. You were at this organization. How you seeing this?
Thanks for having me, JT. Always a pleasure. The one thing I wanted to bring up that doesn't get talked about, I don't think, enough is, prior to the season and the Chip Kelly hiring, and then we followed that up with Raheem Mostert, and I was really, really excited about Raheem Mostert. I mean, we're 16 months away. 16 months ago, I mean, he was leading the NFL with 23 touchdowns.
Yeah. Mm-hmm.
And the success that Chip Kelly had at Ohio State last year, those running backs, his tandem of running backs and Judkins and Henderson, they had 166 receptions out of the backfield last year. That's unheard of. 166 JT. And so I get so excited because when I watch the offense, what I don't see is a lot of layups, right? And what I mean by that is just something where, and obviously you take Brock Bowers out, that's kind of your safety blanket, but just easy throws, easy pitch and catch, just 5 yards, and whether it's an RPO or whatever, where you can just reset and say, okay, now we're at 2nd and 5, right? It feels like, Athens having a jump cut 3 yards in the backfield to make 1 yard, and now we're in 2nd and 9. And so that's why I'm so excited to have multiple running backs that could do a lot of things. So I was looking at the potential of doing a lot of 22 personnel, 2 running backs and 2 tight ends, or 21 personnel, 2 running backs and one tight end, and really putting a lot of pressure on the defense in that base 4-3, which most teams play, right? And having those linebackers, whether we put Mostert or Aston out into the slot, and see if they match up with a linebacker. And I haven't seen any of that. And obviously you taking Brock off the field, that changes, but I don't understand why Mostert, his limited touches he has had, he's been one of the few guys that it seems like he's got a little wiggle to him, right? And he's made some explosive plays, whether it's kickoff return, or the game against the Bears where he actually had some PK. And I would love to see us utilize those 2 running backs at the same time, right? And just see how the defense reacts.
Good to hear your perspective. I respect it a lot. Enjoy the bye week. I know I will. We'll get back to Jacksonville. I'll see you in the building.
Thanks, JT.
All right. Ryan Hogue, appreciate him coming on. You always catch him with Q. There's a lot of ways you can mix up the personnel. We'll continue on that topic when we come back. Brought to you by Tito's Handmade Vodka. Callers are calling in saying, JT, I switched to Tito's. I hope you did. It's fantastic. It's my go-to. Tito's, the #1 spirit in this town for a reason, and proud partner of our show on Raider Nation Radio. Sam Munson from the 33rd team at the top of the hour.
All work, no.
From Woodland, California. Yeah, Gino hasn't been well. Gino hasn't played well. And what do you want to do about it, everybody? I mean, this Captain Obvious bullshit. Gino's not playing well. We know that. We're trying to figure out what to do to get him going. If you want to cut him, if you want to get rid of him and all that, I don't know what to tell you. They're not going to get rid of him because you and I think he's not playing well. They have a plan with him. Well, I think the status of AOC is he's coming back at some point. I mean, he had an injury that he was supposed to be out 4 to 6 weeks. That's about now. I would hope that he'd be available to play after the bye week. And look, I'm not a big guy into trades. I'm not trade Jacoby guy. I'm not that guy, but there's going to be some trades. I think, Clay, the big problem is going to be if you don't get what you want for the player, you still got to trade him, right? I mean,
Fifth rounder now would be like, you hate to say it, but you probably need it.
Yeah.
Yeah, because Jack Fesh kind of does the same thing as Jacoby Myers.
Yep. You're not going to put Cam Miller in over Kenny Pickett, who we just traded a 5th round pick for.
Check them out. Shrug, letter U, Outbeat.com. Shrug U.
Don't miss any betting opportunities with my Williamsville Nevada mobile sports app. It allows me to bet on the go with my Android devices. You're an iPhone or iPad person, Williamsville has you covered anywhere in the state of Nevada. And when you sign up today for a new
Travis Kelce wide open catch.
earn up to a $250 bonus bet after placing your first qualifying wager. Try NFL Flips Play daily for a chance to win $50,000 in bonus bets. For more information, official rules, and to see participating sign-up locations, visit Williamsville.us. Must be 21. Gambling problem? Call 1-800-GAMBLER.
Welcome back to the JT the Brick Show, brought to you by the DeCastro Verde Law Group. If you get injured in an accident, call 702-222-9999.
Everyone motion. He's down to the right side of Mahomes. He's back to throw. He's looking that way. He scans the pocket. He's got his legs downfield. Oh, man, is Kelce open. 35-year sideline. Out across the 50. And finally, sandwiched out of bounds at the Raiders' 40-yard line. He got wide open for a 44-yard pickup.
Yeah, Jason Horowitz on the call. The Raiders had no chance to defend the receivers of Hollywood Brown, Xavier Worthy, Rashee Rice. You look at the receivers that they have there, Travis Kelce. Thought they did okay with Travis Kelce. I'm done screaming, put your hands on him. The Jamal Adams experiment, how has that worked out? It kind of was an experiment to see what he could do. Jamal Adams has been a part of this defense that's getting hammered at the Commanders, hammered at the Colts, hammered at the Chiefs. So what is the upside of Jamal Adams going forward? What are you going to do with some of these aging linebackers? You're going to bring them back or not? I don't know. There's a lot of jobs up on the line here the rest of the way. And that's always difficult here. And for those, if you want to trade Max Crosby, just do it on another show. There's plenty of shows in Raider Nation that will take your call on Max Crosby. Max is a friend of mine. I help him out. I MC his foundation event. I mean, you're out of your mind to come to me and say, trade Max. If you think it's an option and you really believe it, please bring it to another show. I'm not saying it's impossible. I'm not saying it could never happen, but understand the relationship. I don't have a relationship with a lot of people. Max, the owner, the coach, now that I'm building, handful of players, that's it. But I want to give the players the trade deadline to figure out. I think there'll be a couple of trades. Clay, you and I were talking about it. Maybe you wanted a 3rd round for a player, and now it's a 5th round pick.
November 4th coming quickly.
Yeah, and if you want to take the 5th round pick, because remember, you want to get something for players who are not coming back.
Yeah.
Now, you like Max Crosby, if we don't trade him, he's coming back. Max is coming back. He's an elite player. There are some players on this roster who will not be back. A, because they might not want to be here. B, their contracts are up. Or they didn't play well enough and you want to move them, so get something in return.
Maybe somebody already does your job. It duplicates your role.
Yeah.
There's a lot of guys that you could find that.
There are players here that should be looking over their shoulder about their job because they're not playing well. And you can blame the coaches, the development, who they are, but they're still NFL players, and they are required. NFL players are required to play their greatest football every game. They're not required to play good, then bad, then bad, then bad, then good. They're required every game to play their best game. So when we get critical on a player, or JPJ's having a bad game, but he would have been better at center, doesn't matter. He's played some good games. He's had some bad games. We evaluate every one. But we all want him to play well. We want these guys to turn it around. I mean, there are a select small group of Raider fans that want to lose every game, and they couldn't name you the player who was available. If you held them up with $10,000 in each hand and said, here, they couldn't name the player. But they think losing's good because they're going to get some mythical warrior who's going to come in the building and change. He's the next Charles Woodson. He might be. He might be available in the 19th pick or the 9th pick. We don't know who that is. But we know that the Raiders are on a bye week, and they're playing Jacksonville next. Mike at La Casa Cigars at Tivoli Village. He was at the Raider viewing party. I got a chance to MC that. That was interesting. It's a really nice event. Kids were there painting their face on rides, having fun. Danny Coker, Counting Cars, was on stage with me. Greg Townsend, Lincoln Kennedy, Kenny King, Akbar Bajabiamila. If you went to the viewing party, it wasn't the result we wanted, but it was a really good time.
NFL Sunday with
All right, everybody, I'm going nowhere. I'm just going to take a momentary break and be right back. All right, we are back. Let's go check out the comments. Hey, everybody's been pretty good in the chat today. I haven't if you go after Mark Davis, you're not going to get put in timeout. You're just going to be banned for good. Mark is the owner of the team. He's not playing football. He pays the players above market, pays the coaches above market. It's the job of the players and the coaches to win. And, I'm pro Mark, and that's what's always going to remain. So, and we've been critical of Mark's record and the teams, and he's trying to fix it. He's throwing money at it, trying to fix it. And the same people wants him to fire everybody. When he does fire someone and bring in something else, you bitch about it anyway. So,
Remember, with the other.
No politics in here either. So leave that out. Fabian, the party was fun. Party was nice for kids. If you're a kid, it was a lot of fun. They had a lot of kids' activities. Yeah, James says the team is checked out. He's full of crap. He doesn't know anybody on the team. So he's telling you that Jeremy Chin checked out. He's telling you that, players of Ashton Genty is checked out. Imagine being that big of an idiot where you say the team checked out. Game 7 tonight. Who's going to win? Clay, don't you think Toronto's a better matchup for the Dodgers than the Mariners? I mean, I'd like to see the Mariners win.
It's got big numbers, and it's hard to get.
Who's that? Big D? Yeah, they got some.
Your stadium, the power dries up.
Yeah.
Fireballers in both fullbacks too.
Yeah.
All right, we'll come back here.
Yep.
I'll call.
Okay. Yeah.
Welcome back to the JT the Brick Show. Swan Casino, the official hotel of the Las Vegas Raiders.
Don't miss the Rich Eisen Show following the morning tailgate. Weekday mornings at 10 here on Raider Nation Radio 920 AM KRLB Las Vegas. It's the JT the Brick Show. My expectations will win a bunch, and I don't care who hears that. I mean, it doesn't matter to me. He's legendary. His track record speaks for itself. He competes every single day, and that's what I love about your silver and black home to sound off for over 25 years.
I won't play harder longer than the guy lining up across the team lining up across from me. And if you're not, then I want to be the space that's for the Raiders. Nice, but excellence every day.
Now, here's JT the Brick.
Welcome back, everybody. Hour number 2 on the flagship of the Raiders, Raider Nation Radio, brought to you by Finley Volvo. Russell in the 215 is where you go to see Mike and test drive an all-new Volvo, a hybrid, whatever you want. It's an unbelievable dealership. They have all different deals out there. If you want to lease, if you want to buy, if you want to go hybrid, which is great. Man, once I stopped paying for gas, I'm not saying you completely have to pay for gas. You might have a truck. You might love gasoline, but it's nice when you have a choice between a hybrid and not paying for gas again. Believe me, I love the vehicles I have, and I don't put any gas in them, which is nice. But I have other cars in my driveway that provide gasoline, and Volvo has both. So go to Volvo on the 215 at Russell. It's right there at the exit. Check it out. He would love you to come there and test drive some vehicles. And that's why we're partners. He listens to the show. He's a good dude. And he wants you to see a Volvo. So if you're giving up on a BMW, if you're giving up on a Mercedes, an Audi, another car, it's just been too much trouble. I think one of the safest cars in the world, the Volvo, will be a nice transition for you. 702-365-9200 is the number as we continue on. Got a great night tonight in sports. We have 2 games. We have 2 Monday night games and a Game 7 in the American League Championship Series. So to have that, that's pretty good for me. I'll be on tonight on Mad Dog Sports Radio, and I'll do that show tonight. And then I'm heading out for bye week, going to go across the country, see my parents in Naples, Florida, because we get 1 bye week a year, and it starts for me tonight. Sam Munson joins us from the 33rd team. And Sam, this morning, I went back and watched the 4th quarter of the Giants in Denver. And I thought it was criminal how the Giants lost that game when all they had to do was run the ball, similar to Atlanta up 28-3 in the Super Bowl, run it and punt, run it and punt. And I don't think there's a chance for Denver to come back until the interception came from Dart, until they stop running the ball. How'd you see it? Do we have Sam?
Just lost.
All right, we just lost Sam Munson. We'll get him back up here. Because that game really troubled me. That game really, really bothered me. Because I was just shocked that the Giants were going to lose that game. And not the fact that it was the Giants, the fact that it was Denver. And I wanted to see Denver lose. And Denver didn't lose. Denver won a game where I didn't think they could win. So Sam Munson kind enough to join us from the 33rd team. Sam, the Denver comeback, I thought it was criminal by Daboll and Dart and the Giants, even though Dart played well. All they had to do was run the ball and punt, and I think they get Denver to use up all their timeouts, and the game is over. How did you see it?
Yeah, I mean, anytime you're talking about a historic comeback, one in 1,600 plus type of event, something dramatic has gone wrong in addition to whatever good was being done from the other side. You're right. Either running the ball more or Jackson Dart had, 2 or 3 significant big plays late in the game that were there, that were open, and he missed them. And I agree with you. I think he played well overall, particularly given the defense that he was up against. But any one of those shots that he took late in the game, if he connected with, we might have been talking about a different outcome as well.
It's an important game for Bo Nix because he took advantage of the position he was in. But historically, I know you and Steve crunched some numbers and you look at the impact on the league in general, too. I mean, that just doesn't happen. 33 points in a 4th quarter there. That's what gets people fired and gives the opportunity for Bo Nix to have a legendary win.
Yeah, I mean, it was an absolutely crazy comeback. It looked for a long time in that game that this was going to be a signature win from the Giants and a real statement of arrival from Jackson Dart and the team generally. And then they completely collapsed in the fourth quarter. The Broncos capitalized, took advantage of the opportunities that came their way. It was a weird game as well. Like each side had a touchdown where there was a ridiculous deflection or a sort of massive drop or bobble involved from a different receiver entirely. Just a crazy fourth quarter for that game.
Let's move on to Kansas City. The stat line against the Raiders were incredible. And for the Raiders, where I'm here in Vegas, to only have 30 plays and for Kansas City to have 30 first downs. Talk about the haves and have-nots. What'd you see from Kansas City now that they got all their receivers, all their weapons, including Kelsey on offense?
Yeah, pretty ominous looking for the rest of the NFL. Obviously, the Raiders were a big part of that being as lopsided as it was, but the Chiefs looked comfortable. They looked dialed in for the first time in a long time. And you can see the danger that receiving core now has, that everybody's there. You know, this is the first time really that group has been together in its entirety, and you get to see the role that's intended for each one of those receivers. And now you see this is a complete receiving core. They've got a threat vertically, they've got a threat horizontally, they've got a threat everywhere you want to put one. And that puts Mahomes into this comfortable, dialed in frame of mind. And yeah, they were pretty terrifying.
It's incredible what they did. They look like if they go 4 or 5 wide now, they're right back to being the Kansas City Chiefs. And staying out with the Chargers, what'd you see? Do they have problems there? I know they have a lot of injuries. We know every year the Chargers have injuries, and they're fighting through those injuries the entire year. Herbert's a great player, but what are some of the weaknesses now that could get the LA Chargers in trouble after they got beat single-handedly? And I thought they got not dominated until the fourth quarter, but Indy put it on them.
Yeah, they did. I mean, the Chargers line is still really banged up. You know, they need Joe Alt back in the lineup. That's a work in progress. And without him in the lineup, they were overmatched with the Colts defensive line. Even then, I think they did pretty well to hang in and, you know, try and make it a game. The bigger problem is that their defense, and it's not just theirs, nobody else has been able to do it either. They could not stop this juggernaut of a Colts offense, which is just too talented. They've got too many elite players everywhere. You know, they've got the best running back in the NFL this season. They've got elite receiving weapons everywhere. Tyler Warren looks like one of the best tight ends in the game. And as long as Daniel Jones doesn't make any catastrophic mistakes, and he isn't right now, this offense has basically been unstoppable this season. And the Chargers have a good defense, and they had nothing for them.
Yeah, I really saw it that way, too. It was incredible. We didn't talk to you since we saw that unbelievable game by Joe Flacco. And what I liked, as I evaluate other quarterbacks, I mean, he just got the playbook. It was like Baker Mayfield a couple of years ago, overnight getting the playbook in L.A. with the Rams and winning a game. Flacco didn't know all the plays, but he got to the line of scrimmage on time, checked it to the best player, either Higgins or Chase, and was very confident and played with emotion. That's a hell of a performance for him. And Aaron Rodgers played pretty good also.
They did, yeah. Both quarterbacks played well. The biggest thing Flacco did is he didn't put the ball in harm's way again. And that's been 2 games in a row now that he's played clean football. And that's something he hadn't been doing for the last few years of his career. He's not played a particularly clean brand of football. He's been productive and prolific. He's put the ball in the air and he's put up a lot of yardage, but he's also put it in harm's way a lot and turned the ball over. But he hasn't been doing that for the Bengals at all, while being productive and getting the most out of Jamar Chase and T. Higgins. And, you know, I think Tomlin and the Steelers deserve a serious amount of criticism for how little that they adjusted towards shutting down Jamar Chase. You know, a guy should not be wide open on a coverage bus 20 plus targets deep into his game. They should have found some way of, you know, double bracket covering and basically every single play, and they didn't, and it punished them. But yeah, you can't say enough about how impressive that was from Flacco.
Sam Munson is our guest. What do you see behind the numbers with Drake May's performance?
Yeah, I mean, Drake May is now on a run of looking like the best quarterback in the NFL for, you know, a serious period of time. I mean, he had that coming out party against Buffalo, and then he's backed it up the last 2 weeks. He's playing nearly flawless football. He's not putting the ball in harm's way. His deep ball has been spectacular. His accuracy which was not always a strength of his coming into the NFL, has been lights out as well. I don't know that there's a quarterback playing better football than Joe Flacco than Drake May, over the last 3 weeks.
Carson Wentz in the loss threw for 313, but no touchdowns, 2 interceptions. Is that about it for him now? We saw enough of him. He was competitive. He's done some good things, but J.J. McCarthy, they still want to stay on a plan with him as the quarterback, the QB1?
Well, I think that's still an open question. I don't think that we know yet what their plan is with J.J. McCarthy. I don't know that he's now is just because of his injury. I think they kind of are happy enough to see him on the bench and, potentially develop a little bit and not be rushed back into this lineup, especially when the offensive line is not the starting 5 that they really want there. I think they're kind of comfortable with Carson Wentz, taking these reps for a while and slow playing the J.J. McCarthy thing. Obviously, given what they have invested in him, they're going to want to go back to him at some stage, but I don't know that they're in a rush to do that.
Wrapping it up with Sam Munson from the 33rd team. 2 more games, the Cowboys and their offense. Is their defense getting better? Is there something you're seeing there that you could share with us? Because we know that offense can put up points with those receivers against anyone. The defense has to improve. If they do, that could be a really hard out for a team in the playoffs.
Yeah, and this was the first game where you're like, okay, finally the defense showed up in a way. They had been putting up historically terrible numbers. And the one kind of crumb of comfort, I think, is that, look, most teams, even when you're playing badly, you're not going to play historically badly for the entire year. Eventually, it's got to come back in their direction, and it did. This is the first game where the defense actually made some stops. They got turnovers as well. That's been a strength of some of the players they've got on defense. They are ball hawks. And for the first time, we really saw that make an impact in a game. Now the key, obviously, is to back it up and do it again.
Last one, Sam, the Niners, just this gritty wins. They got a lot of players out with Bosa and Warner out, and McCaffrey played great. And Mac Jones has been a great fill-in for Brock Purdy. I just think they weathered a big storm with their easier schedule and the way they're playing without a lot of their starters, and some are going to come back. This is a great moment for this team. I think they're finding their identity, which a lot of teams don't have their identity through 7 weeks.
Yeah, they've been doing an incredible job. They've been so banged up. One of a number of teams, I think, they're in that bucket. The difference being that, the 49ers are now going to start to get healthy on offense, and their defensive players that are in there, to try and kind of plug the dam, try and stop the leaking, because those guys are not coming back. Those young defensive players had a fantastic game against the Falcons.
Thank you, Sam. Appreciate you as always. Enjoy everything tonight. Thanks for coming on.
Anytime. Take it easy.
Sam Munson, our regular guest that we have every Monday here. Good guest from the 33rd team and Drop the Mic podcast, which is really good. I dive into that. So, again, that's a national interview I do. You'll hear that tonight on my show. We get a little 2-for-1 in here. And, no one's talking about the Raiders. Right? I'm wearing Raider gear today, trying to get every Raider fan an opportunity to call in. There's some people I'm interviewing, there's nothing to say. There's nothing to say. It was all about Kansas City played great. Kansas City, Kansas City. Until the Raiders find some form of stability, a lot of people aren't going to be talking about them. And I didn't think we'd be saying that before Halloween. I didn't think they'd be playing at this level before Halloween. Patrick from Woodland is up next on the flagship. Hello, Patrick.
Hey, JT, man, how you doing?
I'm okay, thanks.
Man, I love you. I'm visually impaired, so I'm blind. So, I always have to listen to the radio games on the radio. I hear your voice, and I know that you're like a true Raider, diehard through and through. And it's like, I feel, I'm not speaking for all Raider fans, but I know that like a lot of people right now, they're upset. They're upset, they're disappointed, and they're angry. It's like people are now talking about like they don't want to be Raider fans no more after that performance yesterday. It's like, how do you call yourself a Raider as a player wearing the silver and black? Like, what does that really mean to you when you come to an organization like the Raiders? Like, what does that mean to you? And it's like, that was just, you want to talk about competition. There was no competition on that field yesterday. It was almost like the team was just playing against themselves.
Yeah.
It was just really that bad. And it's like, well, what can we do? I drank a whole gallon of the Taro Kool-Aid when we came in because I was ecstatic. I was like, wow, the Raiders brought this guy in. Things are about to change. the culture is about to change. But as of right now, after 7 games, you got people like, Geno Smith talking about still getting locked in. He could have been locked into the training camp.
Yeah, I think they were locked in at times, and I appreciate your call. Thank you so much, and thanks for sharing that you're listening and being blind and having to listen on the radio. I've had a lot of blind listeners my whole career. Charger, Dodger, Eric, CDE, Blind Mike who calls in from Philadelphia. A lot of other people that get their entertainment or their sports from listening to the radio, especially the play-by-play. And I appreciate everything that they said they were doing. They're doing. They are locked in. They were locked in at camp. They were trying to do it. They weren't faking it. Some people, Raider fans, think they're faking it. Like they're lying. They're not locked in. No, they're locked in. They're playing bad football. And that's why everybody's getting hammered on the radio because no one's doing a good job. So this rarely happens. The Raiders have had bad seasons before. Don't get me wrong. I saw some winning seasons for years when I started here and some decent seasons. And there's a lot of new fans that haven't seen any winning yet in Vegas. We went to 1 playoff round. But the issue becomes they're trying to get it right. And this reset, it wasn't a rebuild. Now you could have a fair debate with me. Should they have rebuilt last year? Right, Clay? When you looked at it, Pete Carroll wouldn't have come here for a rebuild.
No.
Max Crosby wouldn't have stayed here for a rebuild. So take the rebuild crap off the table. It's the NFL. We saw the Commanders go from 4 wins to the NFC Championship game. The Raiders got Brock Bowers. You don't tell Brock Bowers, you didn't grow up a Raider fan. We drafted you. You break every record. Oh, we're going to start a rebuild. You don't tell that to Brock Bowers.
Yeah, here's a 5-year plan.
Yeah, you don't do that. So the fans who think that are out of their minds. And even this year, when this season ends, if it doesn't end well, they're not going to come back and say, we're tearing it all down. You ever hear these Raider fans in a chat or on a chat? We're going to just tear it down and start again. It's a multi-billion-dollar business. You don't rip it down and start it up again. If there's a quarterback available for the Raiders and the Raiders are drafting high, I promise you they'll take the quarterback. Now, someone asked me, should they have taken Jackson Dart? And I said, yeah, that would have been good, but they'd still keep Genty. Take Genty at number 6 and then trade up to get Dart. I'm all for that. I was also the guy to say, sign Baker Mayfield. I'd go pick him up. No one listened to me on that one. What a shock. No one listened to me on that one. That was 2 GMs ago. Like, Baker Mayfield's available, $30 million. Go get him. Nope. We're going to go with Jimmy Garoppolo, Gardner Minshew, and Aiden O'Connell. Not Baker Mayfield, who cost no money. No money. And he makes like half of what a bad NBA player makes in a year. Half of that. And he was available and no one got him. No one took him. Remember when the Raiders went after Matthew Stafford? Remember we thought that would be a good move? They didn't get him. Were they close? I don't know. Tom Brady could get involved. I don't know how close they were. Should the Raiders have taken Sam Darnold instead of Geno Smith? As of now, yes. As of now, Sam Darnold would have been a much better choice than Geno Smith. But at the time, I didn't agree. I thought, they're both the same player. Maybe Geno's a little bit more accurate. But Geno was the selection, and they're going to have to figure it out with Geno. Thanks again to Sam Munson. We really appreciate him calling in and being a part of what he wants to do. L.A. Raider is up next. We got time for you. Go ahead. Thanks for waiting.
Hey, what's up, JT? How you doing?
I'm doing well, thanks.
Well, man, how about we bench Geno? We know Pickett is not better than him, but he won't turn the ball over as much as Geno will. Do a little something different. I think you talked about it earlier, or maybe it was Lincoln Kennedy. Put a fullback back there for some extra blocking, or put Mike Mayer back there to block. Get Ashton Genty going with a little bit more help than what we're doing. We're leaving everybody out there on.
So if we put a fullback in, correct me if I'm wrong, we put fullback in, okay. Everyone in the upper deck 500 section on the road's going to know it's a handoff up the middle. We can't block anybody. Why do we want to have a fullback run up the middle that will be one less receiver going wide, bring in safety and a corner with them, and bring more people? Why would we want to bring more people into the box when we can't block anybody in the box? I don't think that makes sense.
Anyway, not throwing to them anyway.
Because eventually, I would agree with you. I'm loving this conversation because I think eventually we're going to start throwing to these receivers, right? I mean, we're not going to not throw. We're not going to not throw the football, are we? Are we just going to quit throwing the football? I mean, I'm hoping that we throw the football again.
Well, it's been going that way for the last few games, and I'm pretty sure you're being facetious, but we don't have any semblance of any deep threat. Trey Tucker's out there 5-6 yards behind his guy, cleaning his fingernails, waiting for the ball to come to him, while Geno still has some time to get the ball to him. He's shell-shocked, and he's just looking for the hits. He's like Derek Carr after he broke his leg. Somebody's going to hit me soon, so I might as well just take this sack instead of throwing the ball away and just keep putting my team in a worse and worse position. I know it's not all my fault, but it's mostly my fault.
I think you're right about that. I think when Derek got gun shy, when Derek got injured and he wasn't the same coming back, I see a lot of that with Geno because Derek couldn't run. He broke his ankle, broke his leg, so he had a reason not to run. Geno has no reason not to run. Geno's big and strong, and he won't run. He's choosing not to run at any point in the game, and I'm surprised by that because I thought he would be a better runner, and I think you have to have your quarterback run now if you want to make it. So appreciate the call. You said a lot of good things. Appreciate you checking in. Wow, good calls today. I mean, it's been okay. No one's really, man, it's different on social media than it is on the radio. That's why I love having a radio show. And that's why I love being involved with Virgin Hotels. Was there on Thursday night to see the great JOD at One Steak. People ask for a good steakhouse. Go to One Steak inside Virgin Hotels. Ask for John O'Donnell, JOD. You'll have a great time. Pete Carroll next.
Previously on Unnecessary Roughness.
Thank you, everybody. Nice day today. Appreciate it. That's an hour and almost an hour and a half. I will see you back on Monday. I am shutting it down. I mean, shutting it down. Maybe a backyard brick with my dad. I'm going with my son, see my folks. I need to get out of here in the worst way. So I will see you Monday. Everybody enjoy it. And please get more people to subscribe and share. And please hit like and subscribe if you haven't already.